So I was watching Timcast IRL the other night. I know. Some people love Tim, some people hate Tim, and they all like to tell me which one is them. I like Tim. I think he does a great job. We don't always agree on everything, but he's definitely one of the largest platforms. He's certainly the largest panel show in this space online that I can think of, and it's something 40,000 plus people watch every single night, plus another 20 or 30,000 on Rumble. So, I mean, the guy's got 70,000 live viewers every night. And there was kind of this conversation that I wanted to weigh in on, because I find myself, I talked to Tim a little bit. We were texting back and forth when he was sick. And we kind of agree on what's going on right now with the right. We have very big issues. The H-1B issue, really all foreigner, all legal immigrants, we have that issue. We also have the issue of illegal immigrants. We have the issue of student visas. We have the issue of real estate being too expensive. We have the issue of gas and meat still being too expensive. We have an issue of 100,000 layoffs last month. We have the issue of, inflation. We have an issue of, bringing this tariff stuff, to an end, or, finishing these tariff deals. We have many, many issues. And to me, much of the online right, just based on the numbers, you can't argue it, are kind of into this true crime podcast stuff with Charlie Kirk. And I think that that's totally fine that exists. I would rather wait for the trial, but I'm worried that, we're fracturing over this. And he kind of went off the other night in two different clips that I want to kind of address. By the way, want to let you guys know, since it's Tim, my yearly gift boxes, my coffee gift boxes, which we have an advent calendar, which is great. I put it on the set back here. It's nice and big. We doubled the amount of product in it. We have our gift box, and for the coffee hardcores, a 7-ounce bag of Kona coffee, which normally is like $70, peppermint bark, and our gold coffee scoop, and it comes shipped in a stocking ready to gift. Only 500 each, available for Christmas. So coffeebrandcoffee.com. You can, right on top, there's a Christmas gifts link you can go to. You're not cheating on Tim if you get the gift box. He doesn't sell those. A battle is raging for Charlie's legacy. We all sense how unnatural, wicked, and not God it is. And it feels wrong because Charlie was anointed, and trying to replace him has made many radically America only. So go on, smear us again, fail again. You have no power here. I'm not sure who this guy is, honestly.
It wasn't before Charlie died. It wasn't.
Well, yeah.
The amount of chaos that has erupted following the assassination of Charlie Kirk is just terribly sad.
Well, and it's a great crack up. You mentioned it. It's the great crack up over Israel, too. What do they hate about Tucker Carlson?
Well, look, there were a lot of people who were very critical of Israel. And I think that Israel should be able to defend itself. We don't need to be sending them money. They shouldn't have all this lobby money. We agree on that. But we agreed on that 6 months ago. But for whatever reason, now it's literally the only thing people are talking about. And I'm worried that it's a major distraction from the midterms, because the midterm election cycle is going to be starting in January. All right. So I'm hoping that we kind of get this out of our system by January, so we can focus on making sure that we get the right people elected and get the right pathway. We can come together. And just as Tim says, I agree. I have no issue that Candace is doing her true crime podcast. I have no issue if Tucker Carlson wants who he wants a platform, who he doesn't want a platform. In fact, I gave him a massive compliment. I think the work he did on the Butler assassin, I did a whole video about it today. Excellent, excellent work. Top tier Tucker Carlson. But I really kind of relate here to Tim.
Hate that he's not a Nazi. They call him a Nazi all day because he's essentially a center-right, moderate, conservative, and moral and decent guy who's turned against Zionism. And so they just cannot have that, because like Tim, I know for you, when this Israel stuff broke out 2 years ago, and you saw all of these woke communist protesters who were bad on the last 10 things in a row that you hated so much, and they're now against Israel, you're like, well, you don't want those cooties, man. Well, Tucker Carlson is...
No, I disagree with that myself. I am against Israel's influence in the United States. I don't want them giving our politicians money. I don't want to give them billions of dollars. I felt that way 6 months ago, and it had absolutely nothing to do with the leftoids. It's just I was more concerned with more pressing issues like a football stadium full of people dying from fentanyl every year.
saying to you that, hey, Tim, you don't have to move left to give
I don't
up
care
on
about
Israel or whatever.
I don't care about Israel at all.
Well, but look, our country is implemented. It's not that it doesn't matter. It's not like it's Myanmar versus Pango here. This is America's implicated in Israel's.
He's right about that. I'll give him that. But I will refer to the fact, same with Tim, I don't care about Israel. I don't want us to be so intertwined with them, but I don't want us so intertwined with Qatar either. I don't want a freaking Qatari military base, but I just don't want it to be 100% of the narrative. And I think people who are obsessed with Israel think that if you just have a more moderate take on it, yeah, Israel's involvement in our government sucks and I don't want that. But if you don't make it your whole life and your whole identity, they're like, $7,000, $7,000, $7,000. No, I don't want Israel giving our politicians money. I don't want our government giving Israel billions of dollars. I don't want Israel dragging us in to bomb Iran. My history proves that. I've done videos about it. And but it's just not my whole personality. And I think that when you make it your whole personality, when, like the right is right now, the dominant personality, I mean, Candace Owens is the #1 podcast in the world. Hard to deny it, okay? You're going to lose on all these other issues, and you're going to lose the midterms.
Wars. Americans die in blowback terrorist attacks
True.
Because of Israel's
That's true.
foreign policies. And we're completely implicated in this entirely. So if
I don't think Israel's foreign policies are all that different from our own. I think they're one and the same, but anyway.
you don't care about it, you have to be against
and
it.
I think
Because
that
now,
we're trying to say we're not interested in the conversation over whether Tucker Carlson is or isn't a Nazi. We would actually like to talk about the substance of the issue. I think that's what we're talking
But that's
about.
the point, is that he's not talking about Nazism. Tucker is talking about the problem of
care.
Israel and their influence
Tim's about to explode here.
in this country.
I don't
which
care
you should.
about
It's a big
Tucker
deal.
Carlson debating Nick Fuentes or discussing
I don't
things
care
with
about
Nick
that
Fuentes. It's meaningless. I don't care if Candace Owens wants to do a true crime show. I don't care. The point I'm making is that this has become the top level of the right.
He's right. And some people might think that that's a good thing, and they're entitled to believe that. I mean, clearly a lot of people do believe it's a good thing because it is. Candace's show is wildly popular, and I think she should be able to talk about whatever she wants. I should be able to refute, some of her crazy theories and lies, but she's 1,000% entitled to kind of cross over conservatism with true crime. And, but I'm concerned about what's going on with China. I got Trump telling me we got 600,000, we should have 600,000 Chinese spies in our college program. Wasn't a Chinese student just arrested for bioterror, trying to smuggle something out of America? The idea is we need the top of the funnel on the right to be about issues that matter to most Americans. And this Israel topic is a wildly online conversation. And if the majority of the right believes that this is what it should focus on, then I cannot, disagree with it. The majority rule there. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to lose us the midterms bigly. Now, I would say we're not looking good the way it is, but if we're still talking about Israel in April and May, we're going to lose the midterms bigly. And then Trump will spend the last 2 years of his presidency being impeached. I'm not saying it's that you can't talk about it. I'm not saying that it's not important and people will get triggered when I say that. But I'm saying that is the reality of what's going to happen. Okay? And if you look at that and say, I'm okay with that because this issue is that important, then I'm not here to tell you you're wrong because that's how you feel. But, even as I'm recording this, people are absolutely spurging out in chat because I'm questioning maybe their entire life shouldn't be obsessing about Israel. It's no different than leftists being obsessed with, DEI and race. It's not, it's a political opinion. It's not a personality. It's like the gays, like LGBTQ people make their whole personality being gay. These Israel people make it their whole personality, and it's extremely abrasive. It's extremely very online. And so you're gonna look again, they're allowed to talk about it 100%. And as I've said, they might be right. Maybe I'm wrong and Israel is the most important thing happening to our country right now. Maybe. I don't think it is, but I'm wrong about a lot of things. And so I feel like we should be talking about H-1Bs in the conservative space. We should be talking about, how we don't know anything about Thomas Matthew Crooks. We should be talking about, Chinese student invasion. We should be talking about, these mass layoffs. We should be talking about interest rates still being over 6%. We should be talking about how people can't buy homes and we should be talking about how the younger generation, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, are checking out of society because they've lost hope. Like this stuff is like nonsense. No, and by the way, I am in fact not Jewish.
The rights debate right now is not over whether or not our policy is effective or what we are going to be doing moving into a midterm year. The conversation on the right is, can you believe what Candace is saying about Turning Point?
Where's the lie? That's what he's right. He's right.
And I'm sitting there being like, I don't care. I don't care that Tucker sat down with Nick. I don't care about what Nick's opinions are. I don't care about Tucker's opinion. They were allowed to have opinions on whatever they wanted, and so was Candace. I am annoyed that this is the drama that everyone's engaged in. I will say it's disappointing that Candace went from talking about news to talking about conspiratard drama. Sure. And that's whatever. They're allowed to talk about whatever they want, and I'm not going to tell them not to do it. I will just say this. It is the utmost of demoralization when I go on to look up the news, and it's Israel and the Jews, and Turning Point killed Charlie. And I'm sitting here being like, didn't they just say that they were not, like, the airlines are shutting down? Can I talk about that stuff? AI is taking over. What about the H-1Bs and the Chinese visas?
Yeah. Right,
all that
I agree.
stuff's really important. I mean, they're prepping an invasion of Venezuela right now.
That's exactly what Matt Walsh was saying just
by the way, for the record, I've been firmly in this camp a lot longer, but these people obviously are a lot more popular than me. So when like Matt Walsh says it, it means something. When I say it, it's just like, oh, there's the guy, the Brie Larson YouTuber who says that. Like, look, people are allowed to talk about Israel and, Turning Point killed Charlie Kirk. That I'm not saying that can't be. I'm just saying, just know that this will cost the right the midterms. Like that I'm not saying it's good or bad that you're talking about it, that people are obsessed about it. People are allowed to be interested in whatever they want, but this will cost the Republicans a midterm. And maybe you think that's a good thing because maybe the Republicans that will lose will be a bunch of Israel first, make Israel great again conservatives. And that's probably a good thing. But like, there's a difference between pointing out the reality of what's going to happen and like siding with Israel. I have been on, like, the people who have actually been around. No, I don't care about Israel at all. I wish we would give them zero financial aid. Okay. But because I don't make it my whole personality, I constantly get accused of being like, I can't even tweet something without people being like, oh my God. If I say that Candace Owens saying Charlie Kirk's ghost came to her and said that he was killed by TPUSA, if I call her crazy for that, I get 1,000 people to saying I'm like a Jew. Like, I don't care. Like, they are making the right look like idiots. And I agree you can't be America first and MIGA. I agree with that. But I'm like, look, I hope that, we get to the bottom of this stuff and we can get the conversation back on. In a perfect world, to wrap this up, in a perfect world, we get to we actually finish talking about this stuff and we come to some conclusion, whatever that is, right? Some policy change, or we vote some people in that are going to decouple us from Israel. But if the conversation is this for another 8 months, the Republicans are going to get blown out in the midterms. And when we had Candace Owens encouraging people not to vote, okay, she's the largest podcast in the world, and she said, well, I'm not going to vote until I know what's happened to Charlie. Okay, well, cool. Well, just know that the net of that is that Democrats are going to win in a landslide in midterms. And if you're okay with that, then you're okay with that. I'm not, but I can't, I'm not right. You're not wrong. Like, it's just who I'm not, we're just different about that. And, I guess with that, I'm going to use my $7,000 check to make sure that I pick up some of these awesome gift boxes for people. Probably going to piss some people off with this segment, but like, I just want I want us to be focusing on America First issues. And part of that is decoupling from Israel, but it can't be the whole conversation. And that's what Tim's saying here.
And it's the Israel psychobabble as a large reason why Trump is going to lose. And,
yes,
I'll
I
put
agree.
it this way. Israel's going to win everything. They're going to win everything because
I agree. That's what's going to happen. And if people are okay with that, then they can be okay with that. I'm not okay with that, but I use my platform to try and talk about important stuff that I think is important. And if Candace or Nick or any of these other people want to use their platform to talk about what they find is important, that's 100% fine too. It'll be interesting. The comment section will probably be pretty wild for this one, but we'll talk to you again real soon.